What a matchup!
And what a T, Mike. Metro PCS and the iPhone SE for $0 on a network that covers 99% of people in the U.S. Oh, impressive.
Play with the best. Switch to Metro PCS and get a 32-gig iPhone SE for $0. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax and $10 activation fee. Claim based on talk and text. Not valid for active numbers currently on a T-Mobile network or active on Metro PCS in the past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Mainstream Mental Health Radio with Dr. John Huber.
What do you think you are, crazy or something? Well, you're not.
We're on a mission from God.
News, issues revolving around mental health.
Dr. John Huber, a mental health professional for over 20 years, the chairman for Mainstream Mental Health, a clinical forensic psychologist, and a psychology professor at Texas State University. Breaking the silence of mental health, one day at a time, discussing the human condition, providing a sounding board for mental health issues, and making mental health mainstream.
You got a gift, my friend.
Now it's time for Mainstream Mental Health Radio.
Let the healing begin.
With Dr. John Huber. Listen to Mainstream Mental Health Radio with your host, Dr. John Huber. Check us out on social media, Google+, Mainstream Mental Health, Instagram at Mainstream Mental Health, Twitter at Mainstream MENTL, and search for Mainstream Mental Health on Facebook. Please tune in every week to Mainstream Mental Health Radio with your host, Dr. John Huber.
Welcome to Mental Health Perspectives with your host, Dr. John Huber and Kristen Sonata Walker. You can learn more about Dr. Huber by going to the website at mainstreammentalhealth.org and more about Ms. Walker by going to her website at mentalhealthnewsradio.com. Dr. Huber, Ms. Walker, the topic of discussion today is royal weddings supposed to take place this weekend. A lot of people are obsessed. Why are people obsessed with the royal family and the royal wedding, even though they have nothing to do with them? We'll start with you, Dr. Huber.
Well, I think Americans in general are stuck on fantasy. We like to dream big. We want to do that, but at the same time, we got a little bit of this lackadaisical side. So we're really not all of us wanting to go out and be the Michael Dell or the Bill Gates. But isn't the fantasy there that somebody's going to come along with all these amazing, wonderful world resources and sweep us off our feet and give you the life of luxury from here on out? And that's kind of what has happened in this. You know, Meghan Markle has got, some TV experience, and she's an actress of some stature, but man, she didn't come from royalty. She came from, everyday America, and now she has found her Prince Charming with Prince Harry, and she is getting ready come tomorrow morning to start her fantasy world of royalty and whisking away on all these jets and traveling to all these countries and being an emissary of some stature. And it's a fantasy world, and I think we're attracted to that.
What about you, Ms. Walker?
Kristen?
I agree, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. And honestly, these people work hard. It looks like a fantasy world of jets and jewels and what have you, but these are serious humanitarians that go out there, and their time is not their own. I don't know that I would want that lifestyle. To me, it's not a fantasy. You have to be seriously committed, and you are locked in unless you get divorced and have a huge scandal and paparazzi chasing you everywhere. You're locked in for the rest of your life by a system of, pretty severe rules. So I wouldn't sign up for that myself, but the work that they do, I'm never going to say anything negative about this generation of royals because they do so much work around mental health awareness, and they're actually reachable, touchable people as opposed to, the royal households of days of old. So I'm excited about it. I'm not watching it to see what hat they're wearing. I don't even know what time or day it's on television. But every time you talk about this set of royals, you're bringing mental health awareness to the forefront. So I'm never going to say anything negative about it.
Well, I can see that as well too. I think there's a lot of interesting things going on. Meghan's family is not without their issues, and
Right.
as perfect as the presentation is with the royal family, they're in a kind of a rough situation. I think you're right. I don't think I would want to be part of that, because they can't ever have that whole issue with, they can't ever have a problem, you know, like you said, they have a
Right.
divorce there, and it shocks the whole country, and you know, it's a scary thing. So I think behind the scenes there is probably a lot of chaos in that family, but when the cameras are on or they step out on their balcony, the world is perfect. Just look at me, kind of thing. And you know, an example of this was Harry was 17. He went to that Halloween costume party dressed up as an SS agent, a Nazi, and you know that caused inner turmoil in that family. They were probably bickering and fighting for months about that stupid thing. And part of it is, you know, he was a kid, and you know what do kids do? They know where all the buttons are in the closet that can get everybody riled up, and he was exercising that privilege of being part of that inner family like that. I don't necessarily blame him. I think it's, you know, he's got a history of partying and drinking, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why he gets along so well with Meghan, because she's not perfect either, and he has, in sort of a okay way, he has been able to show the world that he isn't necessarily perfect either, and I love that about him.
Well, I'm going to ask you both that. You said that, okay, so Prince Harry's a little wild. Miss Markle may be a little wild, but as people get older, or maybe it doesn't matter if they get older, but sometimes they grow, they evolve, they change. If either one of them becomes less engaged in the party scene and one doesn't, is that going to create long-term friction? Is that going to ultimately dissolve, cause a marriage to collapse? I want to ask you, Dr. Huber.
Well, they're...
Kristen,
I was just going to say that this...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Dr. Huber.
No, go ahead.
They're going to have issues that every marriage has. I mean, people think that's the problem with the United States. We think people get married, and then they step into this fairy tale, and that is part of the problem, because that is so not true. You get married, and you go to work. So this couple, they're getting married, and they're going to get right into the same work that everyone else goes through when they get married. And who knows how long it's going to last. We don't have a crystal ball, but she's definitely not stepping into a fantasy. She's stepping into work in the spotlight. I wouldn't want that.
Well, and we just talked about that, definitely. But I think, you know, that there is going to be that part of both of them that has to become an adult once this happens. And, you know, what the next thing we're going to hear is, when are they going to be parents and present an heir? It's an important thing in a royal family. You know, people lose their rights to ascension by doing different things, and you know, it's going to be interesting to watch and see, and that's part of the fantasy part of it, I think, that we kind of talk about. But I think that if one of them somehow becomes much more adult than the other one, because the other one all of a sudden wants to continue, I think those relationships still work too, because you have this, I need to save my loved person, you know, my partner, I have to be there for them, versus, you know, if they're both partying, hey, let's go out and have a good time together and let's do this together. The minute the parenting starts kicking in, I think it creates a lot of friction for some people, but it also smooths a lot of things over at that point. So I think it'll be fun to watch no matter what, and we'll have a good time. So.
Well, transitioning away from the royal wedding is what some people have been in a great portion of their lives, myself included, and that is called the friend zone. A friend zone is when you have this great love and admiration for somebody, and you think that one day you guys are going to be together and have a royal wedding. No, not the case. You are the person that is the shoulder that is cried upon, and that person repeatedly makes more mistakes with other romantic partners, never acknowledging you, and it's just a vicious cycle that happens. That's men or women find themselves in the friend zone. So we can talk about what is the psychology of the friend zone and how do you break out of the friend zone. And we'll start with you, Ms. Walker. What is the psychology of the friend zone from your perspective?
Oh, gosh, there's so many things to this, and I can only, go based on my own personal experience with this. I actually like being in the friend zone, especially with all the men that I have in my life. I have more male friends than I do female friends, and I have a lot of them, and I really enjoy that. I don't have anyone. I've stopped the ridiculous, what I call the ridiculous fantasy behavior of trying to make a friendship into something more than it is. And when I stopped, I feel like that was a mature place that I finally got to. And now I just don't do that anymore. I cherish the friendships that I have with men, and I don't take them for more than what they are. And I have rules around, okay, I'm not going to do anything with anyone that's a podcaster on my network, because that would be totally inappropriate. And I'm not going to do anything with anyone, and never have with someone other than emotional affair, with someone who's married or has a partner, because I wouldn't do that to myself, to their partner, or to them. So to me, it's a maturing into accepting having really great friendships and being in the friend zone and being completely okay with doing so. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I really do. And yeah, I'm kind of with you. Most of my friends are female. I'm in the mental health industry, so most of my peers are female. And I have my best friend from college is female, and I'm godparent to her kids. And, we spend holidays and stuff with them. It's kind of interesting. And our kids call each of us uncle and aunt and like that, and we're kind of weird, but she's the sister I could have chosen. If I could have chosen a sister, she's who I probably would have chosen. And that friend zone, though, I think when somebody has begun a journey that they were trying to be intimate with somebody on, say, a sexual level, and all of a sudden the friend zone comes in, I think in a lot of ways, though, that's kind of almost a passive-aggressive kind of way of saying, okay, this is not going to work out the way you're wanting it to be, so I'm going to give you a consolation prize.
Right.
And
agree.
And it's a slap in the face. But the person who is still adoring the other person and wanting to make it more, but to the person who is pulling that card, again, I think it's very passive aggressive. My best friend Stacy and I, we've never intimate that way, anything like that. We were both athletes in college and stuff, and just kind of hung out and worked out, and I was there when she met her husband, and, all these crazy, I got family stories in there. My family was all out of state. Her family was local. So I spent, with her parents and grandparents, I spent Thanksgivings with them and things like that. And I'm part of the family. In fact, an in-law passed away about 2 years ago, and I go to the funeral, I'm expecting to sit in the back, and there's actually a seat right up on the front row with the family with my name on it that I was supposed to be sitting at. So I did. It's again, like the sister I couldn't have picked, but I would have if I had that opportunity. And I love my sister, my real sister, dearly as well, too, but it's just a different kind of relationship. And again, if you're in an intimate sexual partnership type of, this could lead to something significant relationship, calling that friendship card and pulling it out is weak. I mean, it shows you don't want to hurt that person. Right. It shows you don't want to hurt that person. But in a lot of ways, it actually does exacerbate that pain and make it worse.
It does.
It's very, you're drawing out the pain and stringing them along because they think, oh, there's still hope. And the reality of it is they may be passing up the perfect person for them because of that hope that you gave them. And my thoughts, and when I have patients in my office who are, struggling with that, is, hey, call it off. If later on you bump into the person at the gym and all of a sudden, hey, I've got there's a football game going on this weekend and a bunch of friends are hanging out at this person's house. You want to hang out with all our friends and stuff, and and it matures then into a real friendship versus the friendship card. That's what should really happen. I think we all should be respectful, decent human beings and call it what it is. This isn't working out the way you'd like it to work out. We need to move on, and it's better for you and for me at this point. And who knows what the future holds. But right now, that's it. And that's what needs to happen. But it's hard, and it's scary.
I agree. I've definitely had that happen where it's usually around someone who wants me to help make their career or sell something for them. They want something that I do that will help them financially or with how they look in the world or those kind of things. And so they feign this could be something more, kind of a relationship in order to get me to do for them. And when I have reciprocated in the past, it's been, oh, wait a minute, I just, wanted the friendship, but will you keep doing these extra things for me? And what I realized during that was, okay, well, my self-esteem wasn't in a really great place to allow this kind of behavior. And second of all, no, that never was a friendship to begin with.
Right.
I deserve better than that in terms of friends. My friends would never behave. My male friends would never behave that way. So I did what you said, John. I just dropped them immediately and said, not in a bad way, just I'm done. This relationship is over, and good luck with your life. And the way that my life works is 3 other wonderful people walked in that were actual friends. So I have an abundance mindset, and I like seeing those exits. All my friends say, get out the popcorn. She just said goodbye to someone. That means some great things are going to be happening.
Exactly. And and it's hard to do, though. I mean,
it is,
especially if you're a caring and empathetic person, you don't want to cause pain in somebody else's life. And again, the reality of it is that it is by giving the friendship card and pulling that, it is going to be more painful in the long run, period.
Yes.
And it's pretty scary for the other person because they're blinded. They are totally enmeshed as far as their emotions are concerned, and they're going to take that friendship instantly. They're going to, yes, let's do that. And
with the hope that something else is going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
I want to ask you both, as far as the person who is in that friend zone, do you think that in a way that they can experience kind of like a Fox simulation of what it's like to be in a relationship without having to worry about the hurt, that they can be close to a person and almost be romantically involved, yet not necessarily cross that boundary because they're so afraid of their being rejected? You think that could be a reason why some people choose to stay in the friend zone?
Sure.
Well,
I think so,
men who do that, that's that dreaded C word called commitment and responsibility. It's so men who do that, I think that there is some of that, and I think there are some women who do that too. But it's really, I hate to say it, it's probably individuals. You would have to sit down and nitpick with them, therapeutically to find out exactly what's really going on. But I think in general terms, that is pretty fair to say, Ryan. So.
Thank you. And I guess the other question that comes to the friend zone is that if people become accustomed to staying there and they're okay being friends with everyone, does that have a long-term negative effect on their capability of developing true romantic relationships. I mean, if you're that individual that's always in the friend zone, do you reach a point where, you know, maybe your emotional needs are fulfilled, but you're depriving yourself of experiencing a romantic relationship on a different level because maybe you've become, you know, accustomed to being fulfilled with just a friendship, platonic relationship? And I'll ask you, Kristen, about that.
I could see that happening, and I guess that could be a road for me. But I think there's a season for everything, and I was married for a long time, so this season for me is having a lot of platonic, deep, extremely close friendships, and one day one of those will probably turn into something romantic, and I'll be ready for that. I obviously have done that in the past, and it worked into a 30-year relationship with a soulmate. So I don't know the answer to that. I could see that happening, but I don't know. The love comes around and hits you at different times in your life. When you're ready for it, when you're not ready for it, it kind of gets you out of nowhere. So I don't know that someone could, unless they were completely closed off, could stay there for forever. What do you think, Dr. Huber?
Well, I look at my clients over the years, and I've had patients, and I have patients who have been perpetually cast into the friend zone. And I think once they start down that road, they start duplicating those behaviors. And when the person they're romantically attracted to starts showing the signs that it's over, they immediately fall back to the same behaviors that got all the other friend zone cards being played to them. So they can sit there and they come back in here, at least she's still my friend, you know. And I'm like, you know, you got a 3-mile long list of at least she's still my friend, and you don't have that significant other person that is going to be there for you, you know, in the long run, you know, when you're down to the end of your last days that you can reminisce with and hold hands with. And it is pretty scary, and they're hoping for that, and they're going, oh, well, it'll be, you know, I've got my friends. And you know, I deal with death and dying in my hospitals every week, and I watch this, and I watch the struggles. And the hardest ones for me, you know, there's 2 classes that are really difficult and hard for me at the end of life. And one of them is that person who's all by themselves. They're right there, and that's it. You know, when you talk to them about end of life things, like, are there important people you want to contact and thank them for being part of your life and stuff like that. And when they look at you and they're like, there's nobody. You know, it crushes me. You know, of course, I don't go through that with them. That's not their issue. So you know, but at the same time, you know, the other one is that family that is completely there all the time. And the minute the client goes, you know, I'm ready for my end of life issue, I need to let things go, turn off the extra, you know, the breathing apparatus that's keeping me alive. This is not a life. And there's 12 family members standing right there. No, you can't do that. You can't kill yourself. You've got to, you know, that one hurts too, because that patient's been struggling for a long time, and the family, you know, even though they love and care about that person, they've been in denial about how bad and how sick this individual's been. And that hurts very much. So, you know, when you start thinking about the friend zone, I start thinking of what their world's gonna be like, you know, at their end of their life. And maybe that's just the therapist in me, but that friend zone's a very scary place to go to. And I go back to what I said earlier. It's a passive aggressive way, because you don't want to feel bad because you might hurt this person, when the reality of it is, by doing the friend zone, they're doing much more damage.
Right. Well, you have time for 2 more minutes, and I guess the questions we have for you both. What are 2 of your predictions for mental health for next week? Ms. Walker, what do you think are the 2 things that are going to happen next week in the world of mental health?
Well, if we're staying on the light side of things, there'll be post-royal wedding letdown. So there'll be some people in therapy saying, I was so hyped this weekend, and now I just feel depressed. So there'll be that. And in terms of another one, I don't know. I'm going to throw that out to you, Dr. Huber. You give us the second one.
Well, I think what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to rethink their engagements and say, unless I can have a wedding like this, it's over. So I think
Right.
American men now have the bar's being set really super high for them, and it's unrealistic. So guys, you better get that engagement going before Saturday. So you got like less than a day. If you're going to do it, move on.
Right.
I have one small prediction for next week, in that thousands of men are going to basically fall over the edge when they realize that they've done the laundry and did not put the fabric softener in. Forget about it. It's over. That's a tipping point. I used to get those bills fabric softener over the edge. I don't know. Maybe something.
As long as they don't eat a Tide Pod, we're good.
Don't eat the Tide Pods. That should be another show. Special edition, mental health edition. Kids, don't eat the Tide Pods.
Stir fried with a little broccoli,
Does not look good in your resume.
It does not look good on your resume.
All right. Well,
God forbid, don't make a YouTube video.
You've been listening to Mental Health Perspectives with your host, Kristen Sonata Walker, and Dr. John Huber. I want to thank you so much both for being here today. To learn more about Ms. Walker, please go to our website at mentalhealthnewsradio.com. And to learn more about Dr. Huber, please go to his website at mainstreammentalhealth.org. Thank you both, and we'll see you back here next week.
Thanks for listening to Mainstream Mental Health Radio with your host, Dr. John Huber. Check us out on social media, Google+, Mainstream Mental Health, Instagram at Mainstream Mental Health, Twitter at Mainstream MENTL, and search for Mainstream Mental Health on Facebook. Please tune in every week to Mainstream Mental Health Radio with your host, Dr. John Huber.
What a matchup!
And what a team, Mike. Metro PCS and the iPhone SE for $0 on a network that covers 99% of people in the U.S. Oh, impressive.
Play with the best. Switch to Metro PCS and get a 32-gig iPhone SE for $0. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax and $10 activation fee. Claim based on talk and text. Not valid for active numbers currently on a T-Mobile network or active on Metro PCS in the past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Want more for your money? With Hyundai, you get a great deal more than just a great deal. And whether you want a sedan or any Hyundai SUV, from the 7-passenger Santa Fe to the versatile Santa Fe Sport to the exhilarating Tucson to the first-ever Kona with an available heads-up display, the time to buy is now. Lease a Hyundai Tucson for just $159 a month. Or buy a new Santa Fe Sport with $3,750 in total savings. Call 877-616-8513 for more details or visit your local Hyundai dealer today.